Hello everyone, I'm Greg Otto with FedScoop TV, and we're here at the Adobe Digital Government Assembly today. And I'm talking with Tim Young, Principal and Deloitte Digital Federal Leader. Tim, thanks for taking some time out to talk with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Tim, talk to me about how you see the progress going within the government and the government fulfilling their digital initiatives. Do you think private industry should help out more? Do you think that it's about even? Where do you see that falling?
So I would characterize the progress to date on digital as toe dipping. So there was a recent Government Accountability Office report that just came out that also characterized the progress to date as every agency has done something in digital, but virtually very few agencies have completed anything. So that's why I use that phrase toe dipping, is because everybody is trying it, but the results are not demonstrated to date. In terms of what the private sector should do, is the private sector more advanced? I mean, in this case, yes, the federal government is behind where the private sector is taking digital, but that doesn't mean that the federal government can't catch up. I mean, a lot of our commercial, private sector oriented clients are doing mobile only, not mobile first, but mobile only, such as Uber.
Okay.
And that is much more aggressive as a posture than what I see the federal government taking. That said, there are two milestones that give me a lot of optimism about where the federal government is going with digital. First is the release of the digital strategy from the White House.
Right, okay.
As basically a roadmap for how agencies can go from legacy-based operations to maybe digital first. The second is the administration's focus on the U.S. Digital Services Group, also within the White House, and secondly, 18F, which is basically the digital agency of record at GSA. Those two milestones give me a lot of promise about the future ahead, and frankly, it gives a lot of my federal clients a lot of energy about adopting that.
You talked about the government toe dipping as far as digital is concerned. Is there anything private industry can do to help them jump in, full bore?
Yes, the one single thing I think the private sector can do to help the government is not looking at digital as a transaction, but rather looking at it as a journey, right? And a lot of the discussion and rhetoric to date around digital has been around putting a new veneer on websites. And digital is much more powerful than just the aesthetic front end of a website. When you look at the various disciplines of digital, from user experience, user-centric design, doing the ethnographic research to characterize the actual user base of who's going to be using an app or a website, that is a very important first step, because the way in which my mom uses technology, for example, going to the SSA website, is very different than how my nephew wants to have that user experience to apply for federal student aid. User-centric design also feeds creative and visual design, which creates cross-platform mobile applications or front-end web. And through those various disciplines and looking at it as a journey versus a transaction, I think you get a more holistic, richer digital experience overall.
Great, great. So the themes of today's assembly are secure, efficiency, and engaged. With those themes in mind, where do you see the federal government excelling at being secure, efficient, and engaged?
Two specific areas, which is one around responsive web, HTML5,
okay, and
building websites that populate multiple devices, whether it's a tablet, it's a phone, or it's just a front-end website. That's the first area. The second is around the use of mobile and cross-platform technologies. So there's two predominant platforms. One is owned by Adobe, which is PhoneGap, and the other one is Titanium, which is a single code base to populate multiple mobile platforms, being iOS primarily and Android. Okay. The use of native app development and cross-platform mobile app development, I think, gives the federal government an opportunity to accelerate the pace of mobile adoption over time.
So as they accelerate that pace, do you see somewhere today in the federal government where current technology is being really utilized that can be an example for the rest of the government to go, this is the way the government should operate technically?
So I'll give you two examples. One example is a large executive branch, cabinet level agency, is currently using the Force.com platform to develop internal government applications to replace paper-based processes and bureaucratic processes, frankly. And that's pioneering work that is very exciting, that's happening right now in federal. The second example is a large transportation client who is rethinking the entire customer experience for their passengers from the time that they decide that they want to book their trip, and they do so not with a phone call and not with a trip to a kiosk, but through their mobile device as a function of a few punches on their device, can book their reservation, their travel reservation, can do the entire experience, order their food, and decide once they get off of their trip how they transition to the next mode of transportation, which is often a taxi cab. They can do all of that through a single device and a single app. And this particular client is rethinking this so that they can get passengers to rethink which mode of transportation they want to use. And for example, maybe move from a megabus and an airplane to potentially a train because it's a more enriching experience for them as a passenger.
Tim, I appreciate you taking some time out to talk with us today.
Thanks for having me.
You can check out all of our YouTube videos on our YouTube channel or check out FedScoop.com. I'm Greg Otto. Thanks for watching.